All right, welcome you guys. Today is actually our first official weekly segment. We don't have a name for it yet, but we need one, right?
Yeah,
We
I
can
think
throw that
so.
in the group or something. So, today, guys, we are going to be talking about pivoting with ease, which is a really big piece of becoming the CEO. So, there's a whole bunch of different things that we want to talk about. We're going to keep it short and sweet, though, like 15 minutes or less. So, hang out, watch the whole thing. We'd love to hear your feedback, question, comments, and all that stuff below. And let's just dive right in. Go ahead, Bri.
Yeah, so just a little bit of housekeeping before we go in. Just to recap the last one we did on Friday. We're going to be reposting that in YouTube. There were some sound issues and some things. We said what we wanted to say, but we just wanted to make sure we cleaned up some of the techie stuff in the background. So if you missed that, don't worry, it's coming and we're going to repost it and it's not going to disappear on Facebook. So
Yeah, that'll be the
just
one that's like how to use the program
Yeah, because that one
properly
is
and all
actually
that stuff.
that was a critical one that we needed to get out to everyone and people who are coming on that are new, right?
Yes.
So
So we will get
just
that
so
to
you
you
know,
guys,
we'll
promise.
get that back to you. So the theme of today, pivoting with ease, we have a few things, few points that we want to sort of riff on a little bit today. But we've experienced a bit of this ourselves because, we're all in the same game together, whether or not it's the first time you're playing the game or many times you play in the game, or how big is your game? Sometimes it's just a first level game. We decided to play a much bigger game in the end of 2024, and we are experiencing some of what we're going to talk about today as well. It's part of the process of what we sign up for, right? As
Yes.
CEOs. So
Yes.
um, we'll share this what's coming up and we'd love to hear from you guys too. Like what resonates with you? Are you experiencing this or what phase of this stuff are you experiencing? So it's great to get the conversation going so we don't feel alone in this process. Like we're the only crazy person that's not not getting it, right? Like I think we all go through this because we're like I mentioned before, we're up to something. And there's a reason why it gets just, uncomfortable or challenging and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
part of the process. So
Yeah.
with the themes, we have some things to share about today, but the theme under the theme of pivoting with ease. The first one is tracking. Tracking is critical. So, Jody, you want to share a bit about tracking?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to have some points of recognition, right? So you guys can understand like when to pivot, how to pivot, if you should pivot, right? And all of that stuff. So, one of the biggest things is tracking what's going on in your business. And it's the number one reason why we do the goal setting session every month with you guys, because we want you to be on top of what the heck is going on and understanding what's working and what's not working so that you can actually make informed data driven decisions
Hmm.
and be able to move forward. So, that those numbers can indicate that there does need to be a change, right? And so I think the main thing here is just that you guys are taking the time every month to do your goal setting, get on the call with us, make sure that you are aware of what's happening, what's been happening the last month or two or three or six, right? And being able to figure out where the gaps are and then make the decisions of, do I need to tweak this? Do I need to ditch it? Do I need to do more of it? Right? And making those pivots accordingly. So I think the tracking piece and the awareness and just being on top of what's actually going on every single month is the number one thing that's going to help you make the decision of whether you should or whether you shouldn't.
Yeah, so like the one critical point, the data you need to make the moves, that data that shows evidence that something's working or not working, or will take longer than we think. Sometimes it's helped to have feedback from a coach or somebody else too that can say, you know what, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Just trust the process, right? The other thing is visuals. Like we have the wall. That's why the wall's behind me right now. This
Yeah.
is how we track things at all levels
Yeah.
visually every single day when we look at it. And the grand theme of this too is also, and I've said this a number of times before in the past, is the way to stay awake
Yes. That's
in the
exactly what it is.
process.
Staying
Yeah,
awake.
in the process of becoming the CEO, you want to be able to stay awake, and we'll be able to, probably maybe some more of it will come up as far as what to expect along the way as these changes are happening, but we must stay awake or else we'll drift back to old ways. So Yeah, that's great. The tracking is critical. Gives you the information to make the moves that you need to make if you need to make them. Okay. The second one is listening to your gut. And I shared, ironically, I shared on Monday, the theme of the week was gut check, right? So we're going to feel things sometimes in our bodies when we're doing different things, when we're up leveling and doing different things that are going to indicate to us that we're up to something different. But
Yeah.
also there's times too, and I know Joe, you could share this from any past experience, whatever, where like um you felt you need to pivot because just something is telling you, and sometimes you might not even have the data, but there's just a feeling of something is just up or not
Yeah.
working. I've found I've delivered sometimes in a coaching session or I've delivered in a virtual event and I shut it off and I go, what was that? Like it just didn't feel, I don't feel like I
Yeah.
connected the way I intended to with the group.
Yeah.
So what is showing up in the gut? And you got to trust it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So is there something you can share on that one from past
Yeah.
experience?
Totally. This is one that happened. It's been about 3 or 3.5 years now. And I had this just feeling that I just shouldn't be using Instagram anymore.
Mhm.
And I was spending so much time doing it. And I know I was supposed to do it. That's what everyone was saying. And you had to
Yeah.
be on Instagram, etc. You had to post X number of times a day and do stories and this and that. And I just felt like, you know what? This isn't working for me. I actually hate being on it. I
Yeah.
don't want to be attached to my phone all day long. I don't want to do all the creative for it. I'm not a copywriter. This is not what like the way that I had to create the content in order to grow followers organically just wasn't something I was interested in doing or prepared to do and invest the time. I had been on Instagram already for years and hadn't really seen a ton of growth there. And so I decided to just stop using it. And I decided to go all in on Facebook instead. And that really worked well for me to be focused on one platform and to not have to do that. And I know that this has happened to lots of other people around me who have decided not to use a certain platform, who have decided to pivot to something else or not do as many platforms or whatever it is. And sometimes that's just what needs to happen.
Yeah, I've found this too before, both in the when I was in the personal training space with clients, sometimes I complete a session, I kind of come away from it going, something was just incomplete,
Yeah.
and maybe I had to circle back and there's something bothering the client that they didn't feel like it was appropriate to bring up or whatever, but sometimes it's a critical thing that I need to know as their trainer that where it's a new medication they're on or whatever, that I need to be aware of what the side effects are, whatever it is. Also, leading teams. I remember sit down with my assistant manager at the big club, and for 2 weeks, I told him, I feel somebody resenting me right now, and I don't know who it is.
Hmm.
We need to call a meeting. And 90+% of the time, my gut was right. So
Yeah.
trust your gut, trust what comes up. We're spiritual beings as well, energetic beings as well. And
Yes.
and these things are assets to us. So that part is critical as well. So the third one too we want to share is getting help or feedback, or I've been saying this all week, is get a spotter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Finding obviously we're here, we work with a coach too. But also another thing is um, what I would share is and I learned this from a mentor of mine is just booking strategic conversations with people you trust, people are probably other entrepreneurs or someone who's
Yeah.
more experienced or whatever, and just saying, look, this is the thing that I'm doing. I'm not asking you to necessarily solve my problem, but I need to vent it out and just sounding to help me resolve the thing I'm working on or move
Yeah.
towards the right action step. And I booked 3 of those this week
Yeah.
and I have another call after this and I feel like the news I'm going to share them is actually better news than it was when I first connected with them because things have been shifting all week in a positive way for me. So
Yeah.
anything else on getting feedback?
I don't think so. I just think this is something like I've definitely learned from you. You're so good at this. You're so great at connecting with your people and staying in touch. And even if it's just a quick check-in, like you're just so good at doing that all the time. And so when you do need help and you need a specific person, they're ready to help you because you've been checking in on them all along, right? So
Yeah.
that's just a really great lesson in networking and in continuing your relationships, even with your friends, and just doing the quick check-ins and seeing how they're doing and not for the reason that you want to be able to call them when you need them, but
Yeah.
because you want to, of course. But then when you do need them, it's really easy to pick up the phone or send a message and say, "Hey, I need you. Can we talk?" Right? So I think that's just a really great lesson I've learned from you, and I think everyone should have that.
Yeah, and a perfect segue from this step to the next one is usually when you have a successful strategic conversation or you gain feedback or the coaching is effectively clearing you so you can move forward, it's going to be very clear what the next at least one and the next critical task or action step is going to be. And once you get into that inspired action mode again, you
Yeah.
know you're clear and you're ready to move forward. And literally none of the data could have changed. It could have been just a 24-hour, 40-hour turnaround in your mental state, the conversations you're having, your energy, and
Yeah.
you actually feel the money coming back again. You feel the clients or the leads or the opportunities or the excitement around your business starts coming back. And there was no data to kind of reinforce that. It's just, I
Yeah.
feel this way already. And
Yeah.
we hear that from the experts as well. It's like you want to feel a certain way to create that in your external world,
Yeah.
not the other way around, not relying on the external world to make you feel a certain way. And
Yeah.
it's the out of love versus for love,
Yeah.
concept which you talked about before. So
Yeah.
when you're inspired action again, that's when you know you're ready to go and you're off and running. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
those are go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I just love this piece where it's like, I hope everybody's kind of picking up that there is this data-driven tracking, like practical side of it, which you typically are gonna hear more from me with the
Mhm.
strategy and all of that. But then there's also this energetic side and this trusting your gut and this, believing in what is coming to you, that you'll hear probably more from Brian. But there's also crossover in it, and I think like if we can combine and get into doing both and doing the
Mhm.
strategic planning, action, numbers stuff along with, even if the numbers are good and they tell you should keep running an offer or doing a certain thing, sometimes it's still not aligned and sometimes it's
Yeah.
time to let it go. So it's
Mhm.
important that we have both and that we are making decisions with both.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to segue into sort of like what to take from this session today really
Yeah.
quickly, before we sign off is um, I invite all of you here to observe this week. Just observe. I'm just gonna say just observe. Observe
Yeah.
you in the doing of your work, in the day-to-day, in your client sessions, whatever it is. Observe what's working, what's not working. Observe if there's anything coming up in your gut, right? After about 3 or 4 days, the second thing is you might notice the most obvious opportunity, an opportunity to upgrade something, change something, move something, continue promoting something, whatever it is. What is the next opportunity? And then what is the next move? Or what do you need help with? Or who do you need to talk to?
Yeah.
Right? It could be one of us, it could be someone in the group, it could be a buddy of yours that is just really good at spinning things a certain way, whatever it is. Those are the three main things. Observe, identify the obvious opportunity, and then indicate what the next action or move is and who you might need to get help from. So those are the three main things to pull from today. And yeah, Jody, tell us what's coming up this week.
Yeah. So just a reminder that going forward, there's going to be a post in the group that is called Next Week. And underneath it will list all of the calls that we have coming up. So the next one's actually your call on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern is Brian's
Yeah.
clearing call. There's also one on, I'm looking at my calendar to make sure I say the right thing. Wednesday? No, Tuesday, Thursday, 1 o'clock, also with Brian. And then there will be Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with me. So lots of opportunity. Of course, as you guys are becoming the CEO, these sessions are critical. They are so important for you guys to show up for yourselves, to increase your productivity, to get that focused work done, to create that momentum. So, no matter what is going on in your schedules, we really, really encourage you guys to make sure that you can get to at least one session of co-working a week. And because it's Brian's monthly clearing session, I would also really encourage you guys to make sure you get to that. So lots of
Yeah.
stuff coming up, and there's more coming up. We are building the programming and we're building on all these ideas that we have, and we're super excited to share with you guys. So we hope to see you guys this week at least once and maybe more.
All right. Awesome. And see you guys in the next session.
All right. Have a great weekend.